everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I am bringing you my TBR game rotating decks, where I have Uno cards help me pick my prompts to create part of my monthly TBR. So it is round 16. There are some times where I can't believe I've been doing this game for that long, but there are other times where I'm like, yeah, it's been 16 rounds. So before we get into how the game will be played for July, let me tell you how I've done for my picks for June. So these are in no particular order. The first card I have here was I was supposed to read a book bought before 2012. And so for this one, I was going to read Christopher Pike's The Last Vampire, book 2. This is Bad Blood. I have not read this yet. The day that I'm filming this is June 25th. So I do have 5 more days to read. And I do only need to read 100 pages or DNF before the end of the month. I am hoping that I'll be able to read at least 100 pages of this. But this book is only less than 200 pages. It's 196. So I would really like to finish this, but truthfully, with the way my reading's been going, I just don't know. So I'm hoping to get at least 100 pages of this in before the end of the month. So the next card I have was Mom's Choice. And so my mom chose The Last Fallen Star by Gracie Kim. This is the first book in a series, and I can't remember right off the top of my head which series that is. It is the Gifted Clans series. So I am currently reading this one. I am about 65 pages in, so I should have no problem making the 100 pages before the end of the month. I am listening to some of this on audiobook, so that will help me speed it up. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself a pass for this one. So the next card I have was to buy a book new. So I was supposed to buy a book and then read that book in June. So I was supposed to read Diary of the Damned, which is the second book in the Haunting Season series by Michelle Muto. I have not picked this one up yet either. I bought myself a Kindle copy and I was really looking forward to it, but I just haven't had the want or time to pick it up. So again, I'm hoping to finish this one before the end of the month, or at least get 100 pages in. This one again hits under 200 pages, I believe. So we shall see about that one. And then the last book I was supposed to read was recommended by Goodreads. So for this one, I went to my recommendations shelf on Goodreads, and I came up with Ghost in the Headlights by Lindsay Duga. This I did actually read, so I'm going to give myself a pass for that. So I have read 2, or I'm giving myself a pass for 2. And then there's 2 that I haven't even started yet. So what that means for this month's round is that I am going to go ahead and pull a punishment prompt. I'm not necessarily going to need to read that punishment prompt, but I'm going to go ahead and pick one, and then I will report back to you in my first Thesis 19 diaries, which will be in July. That should go up July 6th. So I will report back to you in that Thesis 19 diaries whether or not I will be actually utilizing that punishment prompt or not. So before I get into the gameplay for July, I do also want to let you know that I'm going to be participating in a readathon in July. It is my friend Lee over at Dark Roots Creation. She has a bi-monthly readathon, so every other month she creates a readathon, and her readathon for the month of July is the Jaws Readathon. So all of the prompts are inspired by Jaws by Peter Benchley, or the movie. And There are 9 prompts or so, I think, that I probably won't be catching a good portion of them, but I would like to read at least a couple things that will mark off prompts for her readathon. So I do want to incorporate some books for that, as well as the fact that in July is Shark Week, and annually for the last 3 years I have read a shark book in the month of Shark Week. So the last 3 years I have been reading the Shark Island series by Chris Jameson. They aren't actually a series. They're all shark kind of infested waters premises on all 3 books. But they don't have any of the same characters or anything like that. So you can definitely read them out of order. I read them in publication order. But I didn't have any other books in that series to read. So this year I had to try to find some other Sharky books because I do like to read to that Shark Week theme in July. It's just something that I've been enjoying the last few years. So I do want to get in some shark books in July as well. So that's pretty much my plan for July. So let me switch you over to the gameplay right now, and then I will be back with you afterwards to share with you what books I have chosen for those prompts, the books I will be reading for Lee's Jaws Readathon, and any other books that I want to read for Shark Week. Okay, so here's the spread for July's game. I did decide to go ahead and bring back the Shark Week deck because it is Shark Week in July. So this is the deck we will be playing with. As you can see, all of the colors are represented in the deck, so we are good to go with that. As always, I have already shuffled the deck, but I am going to have my daughter cut the deck so that you know that I don't know what is on the top of this deck. Okay, the deck has been cut, so we will be doing 3 pulls as always. First pull is, that is a red 9. And the prompt is, bought in 2014. So that just means that I need to go to my Goodreads shelf and pick a book that is on that shelf. The next card is a skip, which is awesome. That lovely great white. So that means I do not have to read anything for that prompt. And the last card will be a red 8. And the prompt is blast from the past. So that just means that I need to read something that I was into when I was growing up. So that typically is an R.L. Stine or Christopher Pike, Diane Ho, or somebody like that. So those are the prompts for this month's round. As I mentioned a little earlier, I am not quite sure if I'm going to finish or at least get to where I need to get to in order to not do a punishment in July. So I am going to go ahead and pull a punishment prompt just in case, and we'll see if that can motivate me to get to where I need to be by the end of the month. So since the punishment deck doesn't get shuffled, I'm going to go ahead and pull a card and let the number tell me which prompt in this deck to pull. So if it's a face value card, it's not going to count. I'm just looking for the number. So let's see what the number is. Not that one. It's going to be a 5. So let's count it down. And the prompt is oh no! Crescent City. So that means that if I don't get to where I need to be for this month, or for May,
I will need to also read Crescent City in July. So, yeah. That is a mighty thick book. So, let me go pull books for these prompts, and I will be back with you in a bit to share with you what books I have chosen.
Okay, we are back. So that was interesting. Yeah, I wanted to use the Shark Week deck because when we played with it the first time, we didn't get to play with it very long. And being that Shark Week is in July, I thought we might as well use the deck while the event was going on. So I was really happy to revisit this deck. Next month in August, we will go back to the Masters of the Universe deck. Because we do have one more round of playing with that unless we get a wild during that gameplay, and then I will either change out the deck when we get that wild, or I will just change out the deck for September. So yeah, I hope you didn't mind that I made that executive decision on changing the deck, but I really wanted to use the Shark Week deck during the week of Shark Week, and I think from here on out, whenever Shark Week will be, regardless of what deck we were using at the time, I will be pulling out the Shark Week deck to use during that month. So, yeah, so let's get into how the gameplay went. So the first card I got was a red 9. And so the prompt for this one was bought in 2014. Now, this particular shelf on my Goodreads is the one that has the least amount of books on it, excluding this year's. So when I was going through it, I had read some of the books that I bought from back then, but a lot of the books that are on this particular shelf are series books that are way further into the series, so like volume 8, 9, 10, and of series that I haven't even started yet. So pretty much those are books that I've gotten from library book sales. So whenever I see them at the library book sale, I always pick them up because they're only $0.25. But that's pretty much the state of that shelf. So I had a really hard time trying to come up with something to read from that shelf, but I have a couple of options here. So the first one being A Vision of Murder. This is book number 3 in the Psychic Eye Mystery Series by Victoria Laurie. Victoria Laurie's Ghost Hunter Mystery Series is one of my absolute favorite series. This one is taking me a bit to get into, and being that the last time I read from this series was so long ago that I can't remember, that tells you something. So this series is a cozy mystery series that follows crimes that are helping to be solved by our main character here, Abby Cooper, who is a psychic. And so I read the first book in this series, I believe it was for the Save Our Cozies Readathon. That tells you how long ago it was. I think that was in 2016. If I'm not mistaken. So I read the first book then, I read the second book sometime after that, and then I never went back to this series. So this is definitely an option because it was on the shelf of bought in 2014. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of lukewarm on this series. I know a lot of people really love it, and this series is actually still ongoing. So I would love to fall in love with the Cozy Mystery series again. It's been a while since I found one that I could like really want to kind of just fall into and continue. So yes, this is definitely an option. The other option that I have here is actually not the exact thing that was on the shelf. So on the shelf was actually volume 7 of Fruits Basket, which is the single edition volume. I had picked that one up again at a library book sale. However, I am currently way past that volume in my read-through of Fruits Basket. And I do have the collector's editions of this series. So The one I am up to is volume 8 of the collector's edition, which is volumes 15 and 16. So I'm thinking that since I'm already past the volume that's on the shelf, that I could be okay with reading this one. This is a series about a girl named Toru Honda, and she is orphaned. She's been living alone, basically in a tent on a piece of land. That land actually ends up being owned by the Soma family, and the Soma family has a secret, whereas people in this family, certain individuals, can transform into Chinese zodiac animals. And the story basically follows Toru being kind of taken care of by one of the Soma family members, who also is a guardian to a couple of the other members who are Toru's age. One of them is one of the most popular guys at her school, and the other one is kind of an outcast of the family. And so, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this series. Personally, I am not the biggest fan of this series. I do have several issues with this series, or this story. I have not actually read through this series in manga form. I am up to this volume, but I have seen both anime adaptations. So I do kind of know where this story is going. But it is a classic. Lots of people love this series. I'm just in that camp where I'm kind of lukewarm on this series. But being that volume 7 in the single editions is one of the volumes that is on the Bought in 2014 shelf, I'm going to go ahead and consider this as an option. Now, that's not to say I won't read both of these things in July, but with how my reading's been going, I just don't know what I'm going to want to read, what I'm going to want to gravitate towards. So I kind of want to give myself some options so that I don't fall further into my reading slump than I already am. So these are definitely two options that I am heavily considering for that prompt. There are a couple others that I could read for that prompt, but these are the two that are calling to me right now. So I'm going to go ahead and run with those as the forerunners for that prompt. The next card I pulled was a beautiful skip card. Thank you. Thank you to my daughter for cutting the deck where she did, because I could really use this. I do feel like I need and am wanting to mood read a lot more. And that's kind of part of the reason why my game is structured the way it is, with not too many pulls, because in case I fall into a slump like I am now, it won't be as difficult for me. Now, obviously, I did say I was going to pull a punishment, which we'll get to in a little bit. But yes, I am absolutely very happy that that came up. Especially with some of the plans that I have as far as reading goes in the month of July. So the last prompt I pulled was a red 8. And the prompt that went with this one was Blast from the Past. So this basically means to read something from an author who I really enjoyed while I was growing up. So if you remember a few months ago, I started reading Betrayal by R.L. Stine. I did end up finishing the first book in this trilogy. So the entire trilogy is in this book. So what I would like to do is to read the rest of this trilogy, so the rest of this book, which would start with The Secret. So that's the second volume in the series, and then there is The Burning, which is the third one. So that's what's left here. So I would really love to finish this book. Now, I am counting these as separate books because I only read the first one. But I would love to finish this one. If not that, I do have a plethora of R.L. Stine and Christopher Pike, Richie Tankersley Cusick, Diane Ho, Lois Lowry. All of those authors are authors that I read from when I was growing up, and I have a lot in my library from them. So if I don't read the rest of Betrayal, I'm definitely going to read from one of those. But I can tell you that I have been really wanting to get back into this story just recently. So within the last week, I've been looking at this and wanting to pick it up. So that's a good sign, and I'm going to run with it. So I'm going to say that this is going to be the one for that prompt. Again, though, anything that will fit the prompt will count as a pass for me for my game. So those are going to be my official prompts for July. Then, if I do have to read my punishment prompt, like I said, check back on my DCIS 19 diaries for July 6th to see if I'm actually going to be utilizing this prompt. I pulled Crescent City. So, Crescent City is the first book in the House of Earth and Blood series by Sarah J. Maas, I believe. Or is the series called Crescent City? Okay, I had that backwards. So the book is actually House of Earth and Blood, which is the first book in the Crescent City series. I know there's 2 out now, I think. So I would only need to read one. My mom actually has a physical arc of this because she works at a bookstore, so she actually has it. I do not know where it is in her room, and she's not home right now, so I'll pop up a picture right here. If I need to read my punishment prompt, this is the book that I will be reading. I don't really know much about it. I know there's a mysterious element to it. I know it's very popular right now with people reading on BookTube. And I know that there's a sequel out currently. But that's pretty much it. I have not yet read a Sarah J. Maas book. So if I do read this one, it would be my first experience with her writing. I do have to say that I have been interested in it. This particular book has piqued my interest. And I've been thinking about it lately. But it's just so huge. So that kind of intimidates me. So we'll see how I do for the rest of this month, whether or not I will be picking up the House of Earth and Blood in July. But yes, that is a big motivator for me to not have to read my punishment pick, because I know that's going to take me a really long time just because of the sheer size of the book. But not because I'm not interested in it. I do have interest for this book, but it's a big one. So yeah, that's everything as far as my TBR game goes. Now, before I get into what I have set aside for the rest of my reading plans for July, I do run an In Real Life Manga Club. You can hear me talk about the selections in my Monochrome Manga Club series First Impressions videos at the end of every month. So in July, we have our selections. There are 2 first in a series selections, and we're doing 2 series reads. So the first of the first in a series selections is Hatsuharu. This one is by Shizuki Fujisawa, published by Yen Press, rated teen. This is a high school romance story between a playboy and a tomboy, a rough and tumble girl. That's pretty much all I know. It's been a series that I've been interested in, but I hadn't actually picked any up until now. So we'll see how I like this one, and if I do enjoy it, I'll definitely be adding this one to my collection. The second first in a series book we will be reading, or manga, is Penguin and House. This is by Akiho Ieda, published by Kodansha, rated all ages. This is an adorable slice of life manga with pancakes and laughter galore. That's the tagline on the back of this manga. I just think it's super cute. It kind of sounds like our main character is the penguin, and it follows his life living with his keeper, whose name is Hayakawa. So I just thought this was super cute. I'm looking forward to seeing what that one's like. Then we're going to continue our series read of Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon by Naoko Takeuchi. This one is published by Kodansha Rated Teen. This is the 4th Eternal edition. We're still in a place where I am not familiar with most of what's going on. There are little bits and pieces I know about this part of the series, but pretty much everything I know happened in the first 2 volumes of this. So a lot of what we read in volume 3 was new to me, and I presume the same is going to continue here. But yes, I'm enjoying that a lot more than I thought I was going to be honest. But there are still things about the series that kind of get on my nerves and kind of don't make sense. So yes, enjoying that a lot more than I thought. And then we are going to be starting a new series read. So we finished our series read of Death Note in June. And so we will be starting Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. This one is by Koyoharu Gotoge, published by Viz, Rated Teen. I do not know much about this series at all. I believe it's historical fantasy, and it follows a brother that I believe is trying to save his sister, and I believe those 2 characters are shown here on this cover. That's pretty much all that I know about this series. I've not watched any of the anime. I do know that my brother enjoys this anime, and my daughter is very interested in this series. This was unanimously voted by the Manga Club members to be our next series read. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this one's all about. I know it's pretty popular right now. I'm not usually one to jump on hype trains, but it looks like the universe is telling me to go ahead and join those this month, with Crescent City being a punishment pull, Demon Slayer being our next series read. So yeah, looking forward to it. We do have the entire box set of this. I bought it for my daughter for her birthday last year, so at least it's going to be a series that I already have on the shelves and will be one to get through. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's what we will be reading for the Monochrome Manga Club. Now for my friend Lee's Jaws Readathon. So she does have several prompts. I believe there are 9. I will bring it up here. Hopefully I can fit it in here for you. So of these prompts, I do not believe that I'm going to be able to read a book that will check off all of them. And you can see that the middle one is to read or watch Jaws. I will probably be watching Jaws. I have read Jaws in the past, and I did not enjoy it. So we'll just leave it at that. But she has a prompt that says the main character is a researcher, and I've pulled a couple books here that I think should not only count for that prompt, but also be sharky reads, because I do want to read books that have sharks in it for Shark Week. Not necessarily to read only during Shark Week, but to read during the month of Shark Week. And so one of those is Peter Benchley's White Shark. Like I said, I did not enjoy Jaws, and so I don't have high hopes for this. But this one says that at a small marine institute off the coast of Connecticut, there is a 16-foot pregnant great white feeding in the area. But what they don't know is that a far deadlier creature is about to come out of the deep and threaten everything. So that's kind of just the summary of the summary on the back. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that creature is, but this one does have a step back, so let me just share that with you since I have it. And yeah, so that's an option for a researcher, because it does include a marine institute, and one of the characters is a marine biologist. The next option I have here is Extinct by Charles Wilson. It says coming to NBC, but I don't think it actually got made. I think we looked that up when I picked this book up last year. But this says, from the Gulf of Mexico's warm, shallow waters to the deepest parts of the Pacific, terror comes to the surface. So this one also has a marine biologist in the story. So I'm going to go ahead and say that that one's going to count for that particular prompt. And then the other one that has really been calling to me is Steve Alton's The Loch. So this is about the Loch Ness Monster. This is obviously not a sharky book, but I have been wanting to read this book for a while. I find the whole Loch Ness Monster thing very interesting, and I really enjoyed Steve Alton's Meg series. So this follows a marine biologist again who once suffered a near drowning experience in legendary Loch Ness, and now long forgotten memories of that experience have begun haunting him. The truth surrounding these memories lies with Zachary's estranged father, Angus Wallace, a wily Highlander on trial for murder. Together, the two plunge into a world where the legend of Loch Ness shows its true face. So, yeah, I've been intrigued with this one. I believe it's a duology. And so I do want to read this one, but you can see that it's a chunky one. This one comes in at over 500 pages, I believe. Yes, 533 pages. So we'll see if I get to this, but this is definitely another option for the main character as a researcher, because he is a marine biologist. So all three of those books have marine biologists in them. Another prompt is the main character or love interest is in law enforcement, and I'm pretty sure Vision of Murder is going to count for that, because I believe the love interest here is in the police department. And then there's another one that has Jaws as the prompt, book that has a monster. So any of the books that I just showed you will count for that. So I do have lots of options for Lee's Readathon. And I believe this one also counts for one. So this is Bait by J. Kent Messam. This one says, no one is coming to your aid. We have ensured this. 6 strangers wake up on a remote island in the Florida Keys with no memory of their arrival. They soon discover their common bond. All of them are heroin addicts. As the first excruciating pangs of withdrawal make themselves felt, the 6 notice a yacht anchored across open water. On it lurk 4 shadowy figures protected by the hungry sharks that patrol the waves. So begins a dangerous game. The 6 must undertake the impossible. Swim to the next island where a cache of heroin awaits, or die trying. When alliances form, betrayal is inevitable. As the fight to survive intensifies, the stakes reach a terrifying height, and their captors' motives finally begin to emerge. So I think that one definitely counts for books set on an island and has my sharky kind of theme. So yes, lots of things for me to read in my big pile of possibilities for the month. I'm still trying to claw my way out of this reading slump. You may not think that I am in a reading slump based on how much I have read lately, but pretty much none of it has been planned. Besides my, Monochrome Manga Club selections and, the things I was actually supposed to have read for my TBR game. But here's hoping that July will at least elevate my kind of place in my slump and make it so that I'm closer to not being in a slump than I am currently in. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below if you will be participating in any readathons in July, or if you're going to participate in Lee's Jaws Readathon, or if you just plan on reading some sharky books in July, or have any recommendations for those, because I am quickly running out of sharky books to read in the Shark Week months for the years ahead. I did go to the Barnes & Noble for the Monochrome Manga Club meeting last Thursday, and they only had Jaws and Meg, and that is it. So if you have any other recommendations, I'd love to hear them. If nothing else, you would just like to let me know that you were here. If you could leave me a shark emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated. It would really help me out, and that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye!